Hey everyone, it's Asif with Remax Prime Properties. Just wanted to go over a synopsis of what the government announced yesterday. So first and foremost, they said they were going to cool the market down and help with supply and affordable rental and affordable homeownership. So what they did was they implemented a 15% tax for foreign purchasers. Now that tax doesn't apply to agricultural, commercial, industrial, or multi-unit residential properties. It's basically just for single family homes. And it also doesn't apply to students that are here or people that are working in Ontario or refugees. So it's basically just for non-resident ownership. And if you can prove that you are going to be moving here later, then you get a rebate anyway. So I don't know if it's going to apply to a lot of people, but at the same time, I would have liked to see the 15% instead of just going right to the government. It would have been good to put it into a fund to help builders build affordable rentals, or give them a subsidy with that money so that they can build more houses. Number two, they said they're going to sell off their surplus land. And that surplus land is going to be used, 20% of it is going to be used for affordable rental properties, and 5% is going to be used for affordable home ownership. We could probably have done more, or I did expect more, and I think as a seller, the government is smart because they're taking advantage of the hot market to sell their property off right now. 75% of that property is still going to be used for market homes. So again, that's good news in that there will be supply. You know what, it could have probably been done. Maybe they could have donated the land, or they could have put more restrictions on it to say, 50% or 75% should be used for affordable ownership or affordable rentals. Third, there's a vacancy tax coming in now. So if your property is vacant, you're going to have to pay a tax on that, and that's to entice people to rent it out, or also to sell off properties that they're not living in. I like that. That's good. Rent control is now capped at 2.5%. There was already rules and guidelines in place for a Landlord-Tenant Act and what the rental should be increasing at. So I'm not sure that makes a huge difference, but it's good that they've addressed it and put it into the plan. Lower taxes for multi-unit residential dwellings is great. It's going to entice more people to buy rental buildings or properties that can house more people. So that's a good thing for investors. They can focus on that, and the taxes are going to be very similar to single-family residential taxes now. The focus on realtors, which is really good as well. I think it's going to increase vigilance on the profession and help us maintain and uphold professionalism. So I like that. The double ending of properties isn't the cause of double-digit price appreciation. That's more of a supply and demand issue that we'll get into as well. But this is something that they want to keep an eye on, which is great. The other thing that they want to address is flippers. So not flippers, but assignment sales. So before they call it paper flipping. What that means is some people will purchase a property. Before it comes to close, they want to sell it off and make some money off of that. There's some tax implications there. The government wants their HST on these sales, so they're going to be watching very closely for that. Is this enough to cool down the market? I'm not so sure that they touched on everything that they needed to in order to do that. It's in the end, market equilibrium comes down to economics. It's supply and demand. We don't have enough supply. What would have I liked to seen? I would have liked to seen some subsidies for builders, some incentives for them, maybe streamline the process for applications and help them with development charges in order to get them building more. And by helping them with development charges, maybe a subsidy or a rebate that if they build so many houses at such a price, they get a rebate. Make it helpful to them to want to build more and open up some land to let them build more. The other thing I would have liked to see is maybe some relief for buyers in terms of land transfer tax, maybe a 1 year or 2 year amnesty for land transfer tax, because that will save thousands of dollars for buyers, and that will help with affordability of home ownership. And lastly, no matter which way we look at this, it's a supply issue. I've used the hamburger example before. If you have 10 patties, but you have 100 people in line for hamburgers, you're selling these burgers for $10, someone at the back of the line that's starving is going to jump up and say, I'll give you $20. Now you're creating a bidding war. The only way to combat these bidding wars is to increase supply so that there's a hamburger for everybody. And with that, you can't come back and say, hey, I'm going to charge a 15% tax for the people that are not from this area unless they eat here, and then they can get their tax back. But what you want to do is you want to have more patties, and it's an easy fix. It's just got to be implemented that way. You have to bring in the incentives for the builders to want to build more and get everyone a home. That's going to stop bidding wars. That's going to stop the double-digit appreciation. It's going to bring us back to a healthy market with 5 to 10% appreciation. That's what we need. Thank you for watching.